everybody. Welcome back to everyone's favorite 12, indeed the fatalist of 12s. I guess we're having a potluck. We're heading over to 4 and 5's house to make dinner because we are a huge pushover. A few things real quick, not much to touch on, but I did notice something. I don't mention this much because I don't usually load games. Apparently this game does have chapter names because they show up here on the save file. This chapter is apparently called The Night Raid Continues. So whatever prediction I had about our little party getting crashed, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case. I don't think it's going to be Odette and Federico though, because Federico just got his ass stabbed. And Odette implied that they would be out of commission for a week. So they're busy. But I have a strong hunch that Alan's going to be stopping by, especially considering he's come by already. So that's a thing. I also noticed as I was poking around, I happened to come across some old threads and posts from when this game first came out. Apparently when the publisher or the developer, whoever, when this game first came out, they had a rule about streaming it. They said you couldn't stream past week 7 until basically the 7th election, until the game had been out a month, and then you could just stream or YouTube whatever. Obviously, it doesn't apply to us because this game's been out a couple of years, and even if I was streaming it right away, it still wouldn't apply to us because we've been playing this for a month and I'm still not at week 7. But I wonder if that means that week 7 is when things get serious, when shit gets real. I keep talking about when we're going to cross the line into the really just going full bore on this, where we're going to cross the line as far as Naomi getting hurt or something like that, something serious going down. And I wonder if that's where the big plot twists are, which is unfortunate because we're still just past week 4, so we got a ways to go. But yeah, let's see if that's the case. Also, one other thing, I can't believe I didn't mention this after last stream because we finally found out number 4's gender, and it wasn't a girl. Naomi was right the whole time. So it turns out that Naomi, or number 4, is a male, but I can't believe I missed the obvious joke because I keep talking about how this game keeps reminding me of Steins Gate, and there's a lot of parallels, and I'd be willing to bet good money that the devs of this game have played that game. I'd be willing to bet just because of all the things that keep coming up, or it just seems like it's inspired by. And I know you guys are sick of me mentioning Steins Gate, but he's a guy. I know there's all the parallels. I know that, you know, maybe it isn't necessarily inspired, but he's a guy. You know, maybe he gets voted off next. Maybe he doesn't, but he's a guy. I'm going to start the game now. But he's a guy. Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that we start on orange text. But he's a guy. Okay, I'll stop now. It's the one constant in my life, even with the advent of divine selection. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. One day you'll play Steins Gate and you'll be like, oh, that's what Psy'Min was going on about. Well, on days when... yeah, on days when an election isn't being held anyway. School shouldn't even be a constant on days when elections are being held, because those are Sundays. I drag myself from bed and get ready for school like always. My plans for the evening are already set, so I won't be opening the store today. That also reminds me, Miharu doesn't know about this yet, but is she going to catch wind of it and then insist on coming along just like she did with Sonia? She's going to be our cook. And then she's also going to be present when Alan comes in. I kept it closed so often lately that I'm starting to run out of excuses for my gran. Granted, she's never too persistent about me opening it up because we either make hardly anything out of it or we actually lose money. That, plus, she seems to realize that I'm all caught up in something else at the moment. Not to imply that she knows about divine selection, of course. She most likely thinks I'm busy with exams or personal issues. Yeah, which is fair. I mean, stuff comes up. My grades are hardly stellar, so it's not surprising that she's concerned. I noticed Naomi as I walk through the gate. Thankfully not bloodied up. She's with a friend, too. Ooh, it's choice time. I feel like I'm starting to get more meaningful choices now. I feel like they're going to start affecting how things turn out. Oh. You know, the suspicion I'm getting right now, and this is just kind of wondering about the possibilities, I wonder if Alan is watching me right now. And if I talk to her, it's going to make him think that I know her, and she's going to be... Actually, it shouldn't matter, because he saw her anyway when he was doing his... he was on his baby mission. Didn't he notice her? I think he noticed her. I can't remember now. I will leave her be for now. We'll talk later. I'm best off leaving her be. If she's got people to spend time with other than me, it's for the better. Okay. Is this, am I gonna miss? Am I gonna be forced to talk to her anywhere, or am I actually gonna get to move on? The last thing I want is for her to get caught up in divine selection because of her involvement with me. Never mind, I'm gonna have to catch her. Meanwhile, Naomi trips over nothing as usual. Her friend catches her, fortunately, and she laughs it off. Naomi hasn't noticed me, so they make their way into the building together. I decide to slow my pace to ensure that I won't bump into her at the entrance. Okay, that seems like something that actually matters. Usually when I make a choice in this game, it just forces me to make the other choice anyway. But, alright, we didn't talk to her. I'm going to assume Alan was watching, and I'm going to assume that he doesn't know that we're pals. Hopefully. So whatever scene, we actually skipped it. Alright, cool. Feels like choices are starting to matter. Once I get back home, I have a look at what seasonings I should take with me when I go to cook dinner. I doubt I'll be able to get everything I need with the money Shigetsugu's given me, and buying new stuff would be a waste because I'm only going there once. I guess curry works. Pretty sure I've got Gran's recipe lying around somewhere too. Curry used to be a Lion House staple before I took over. I've helped to make it a number of times, but I've never made it from scratch. Huh. My voice seems like it's coming in a bit quiet. Hopefully it's okay. It should be fine so long as I follow the recipe, though. Curry is pretty timeless, too, so let's go with that. I pack some seasonings, spices, a pot, and a spare container before making my way to Shigetsugu's house. Ah, this disaster. You guys could clean up a little bit, you know. Beef, potatoes, onions, carrots, apples, and yogurt are the main ingredients I need. I head to his house after getting them. While I'm on my way, I make sure to keep an eye out for Federico and numeral 11. I don't notice anyone suspicious. But I think that's due to being so busy at this time of night. Well, you got trailed by Alan last time and you didn't notice, so I have a feeling that's about to happen. Actually, I guess you don't need to be trailed by Alan. He knows where this house is. I'm somewhat worried about more odd rumors spreading, considering the neighborhood's attitude toward this place, so I should be fine if it's just this once. Oh, I'm pleased to see you actually turned up. Hey, it's the nice lady. I heard you're going to make us dinner. Let me help. I want to try cooking too. The nice lady, huh? That's one way to shatter the illusion of me being his mother. I carry the bags into the kitchen and then hand Shigetsugu the receipt and his change. Let's leave peeling the potatoes and carrots to you then. Yeah, give him the tough work. Make sure to wash your hands first, too. I put my apron on before washing my own hands. He follows suit, so I hand the potatoes and carrots over to him. Meanwhile, Shigetsugu watches TV in the living room. First up is beef preparation. I dice the meat into cubes and then sprinkle those with salt and pepper. Let's just get through this. Beef can be a bit chewy, so I cut some extra slits in them to help with that. After that, I grate an apple into a bag, alongside yogurt, honey, and the spice mixture from my Gran's recipe before combining everything. Oh, look at that. He looks up at me with a puzzled expression, potato in hand. That's not a potato. That's an onion, sir. What do I do with this? You put it down and you pick up a potato. Oh, right. I guess I need to teach you from scratch. I don't see any peelers, so I take the potato and show him how to peel it using a knife. Okay, we have the potato. Someone tell him what that is. Wow! It's nothing impressive. Here, give it a shot. Just be careful. I don't need you cutting yourself. He's pretty good with knives. Yeah, I feel like he's going to get this. He's going to pick it up. The knife was surprisingly sharp. Not sure if that goes to show how little I cook or not. It's hard to believe I'm cooking with the knife that I sharpened myself. I don't have it in me to ask why he'd need to sharpen a knife like that for anything other than cooking. Yeah, you don't want to know that. Either way, he's able to peel the potato far better than me. Like I said, he's good with knives. Same with the carrots. I decided to leave all the vegetables to him. Oh yeah, onions will do that. Onions will do that. My eyes sting. Oh yeah, that'll happen when you cut onions. Just don't rub your eyes. That'll make it worse. Hey, you finally smiled. Huh? You were making a scary face before, but right now you look like you're having fun. I'm glad you're not our enemy. I suppose I did loosen up the moment I started cooking. I mean, I've been checking every now and then to make sure Shigetsugu isn't rummaging through my stuff, but it's true that I haven't been as on edge as I should be. As I should be. I've always wanted to know how curry's made, so I've been looking forward to this. All I did was peel and cut vegetables, so now I'm even more curious about the rest. I guess we'll have to make it extra good then. I let another smile slip. I can't help it though. Seeing his eyes sparkle with curiosity is too precious, yeah. He's a cinnamon bun second only to Sonia. Another part of me wishes that we met under different circumstances. How many social links are we going to end up with by the end of this game? All the romantic endings. Yay! It's done! 2 hours later, it's finally ready. Alright, so Maharu didn't tag along to do it. The smell wafting out from the pot reminds me exactly of the curry my gran would cook. I tasted it to make sure it turned out fine, but I'm still nervous because other people are going to eat it too. My! This looks fantastic! Sorry for the wait. I take it this'll do? He's over the moon, so it's more than enough. Will you be staying to eat with us? Obviously. I wouldn't come all this way to cook and then leave. Come on, come on! Oh, sorry about that. Let's see how it tastes. What were you sorry about? I missed that. I get started on mine after they dig in. It's not quite on my gran's level, but this is still plenty delicious. It hasn't been too long since the last time I had an experience like this. I've never made curry. I'm a pretty good chef, but curry is not something I've ever done. I should give that a bash sometime. Maharu, Sonia, and I ate together often before Sonia was eliminated. Funny how divine selection of all things is what's blessed me with these experiences. Yeah, that's what I keep wondering. Like, again, is this going to end up being some sort of blessing in disguise? Is this going to be some sort of lesson on making the most of life or something? I'm not sure Parka is quite that pure, but I have a feeling that's the lesson we're going to take away anyway. Blessed, huh? I guess I need to accept that I've been enjoying myself. This sauce is rather strong, wouldn't you say? I refuse to field any complaints. You sat and watched TV, old man. You'll eat your food and like it. This is so good. Your cooking's great. Ah, geez. What a good kid. Hey, did you know? I cut these by myself. The carrots and potatoes? Well, you did a fantastic job with them. Yay! Are you more of a doting father or a doting grandfather? Whatever. I'm glad he likes it at least. I try not to insert myself into the conversation too much, opting to eat in silence instead. This certainly brings back memories. Curry was the first meal my son ever helped cook, if I recall. He was so happy as he peeled and cut the vegetables. Why is this coming back to me now of all times? His eyes fixate on the curry as he recalls days long past. Small droplets of water catch on his eyelashes as they form. I'm not sure how or when it happened, but curry's become the go-to household meal in Japan. Just making it tonight brought back memories of times I spent with my gran. Yeah, I didn't know curry was like that. Usually I associate Japan with the other sort of foods we've seen in this game already. Curry I typically consider more of an India thing. Or that neighborhood. So it makes sense for him to be reminded of similar times he spent with his own family. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. A clang resounds throughout the room while I'm caught up in those thoughts. I turn my attention to where it's coming from. It's the boy who has just slapped his spoon down onto his plate. Is the past really that important? Neither of us answer his question. His gaze is focused on Shigetsugu. While Shigetsugu was recalling his past, the boy must have understood that he has no place in those memories, despite his fondness for him. Even worse, he has no memories of his own to recall in the first place. Yeah, no kidding. I've forgotten lots of things from my past, but there's one thing I can say for sure. I've probably never had a single nice and happy experience like this before. Do you? Headache time. Memory time. All of a sudden he clutches his head and groans in pain. Could you please get over this before Alan shows up? I'm going to need you to kick his ass for me, thanks. Are you alright? Man, that sauce was strong. It's just like the first time we came face to face outside the dream world. I was struck with a headache as well that time, but now it's just him. Shigetsugu gets him to lay down, an expression of fear on his face. Are you okay? Does he sound okay? Calm yourself! I'm not sure if he heard Shigetsugu or not, but he does eventually close his eyes and pass out. I help take him back up to his room. Once that's done, I finish my curry and wash the dishes. There's plenty left to spare, so I pack it into the spare container I brought and put it in the fridge. All they need to do is heat it up in a pot. This isn't the first time that's happened. Well, it's at least the second. You mean the sudden headache? He nods silently before continuing. He suffers from headaches whenever something triggers his memories. I'm not quite sure if it's a conscious or subconscious thing, though. Well, obviously it's subconscious. Take my word for it. It's nothing to worry about. He'll sleep for a few hours afterwards, and he's perfectly fine once he wakes up. It's somewhat odd to be told not to worry about someone who's supposed to be your enemy. But even more odd is the fact that I really am worried. I should have anticipated this, but seeing him so happy made me forget all about it. Please accept my apologies. It's okay. He really did seem to enjoy the experience, though. I'm aware. I can tell he cares a lot about you, too. I might have seen him more as a little brother if it weren't for divine selection. So you say, but if it weren't for that, we never would have met in the first place. Regardless, allow me to thank you once again. Just seeing him beside himself like that makes me happy as well. Are we going to get your card as promised, or is that just going to get skipped and we're just going to say forget about it? Sure. I can feel my eyes strain through this exchange. I really shouldn't be thanked by my supposed enemy. The reality of what's going on here is all too clear, though. Yet again, I'm struggling to come to terms with what I need to do in the face of this small happiness felt when spending time with them. This seems an ideal time to make good on our promise from yesterday. Aha, like I said. Yeah, it'd be for the best. Yeah, it'd be for my best, not yours. I won't be involved with them anymore. That's the ideal outcome. Keep the container with the leftovers. I actually enjoyed this a bit more than expected, so don't feel bad about dragging me into it. Worry not. I never felt bad in the first place. Before you go, allow me to tell you my cause of death. He switches to a far more grim topic before he even bothers to sit down. I honestly wouldn't have cared if he'd forgotten about that part of the promise. I still don't know if I have it in me to elect him even after learning it. Chances are high that I won't be able to, since I've gotten this attached to them both. So I'd much rather not know at all than face the regret and self-loathing over knowing, yet being unable to elect them. It may be a protection, though. Of course, this could also be a bad thing if we do get voted out on some ending, because then someone else is going to be like, whoa, look at all these awesome cards Rinka has. I get to do whatever the hell I want. But at the same time, I can't refuse to listen now that he's brought it up. You're aware of the cases where people are discovered dead in their homes, I assume? I've seen reports of it on the news every now and then. I am one such case. Elderly people living on their own is already a problem in its own right. The risk of them passing away without anybody noticing gets higher if they have no relatives or friends in their neighborhood to check up on them. I expected this to be the case for him after hearing how rumors had spread about him having starved to death and whatnot. My lower back isn't exactly in peak condition, you see. I'm prone to the sudden onset of pain, sometimes to the point where I'm unable to move at all. That's why I made it a point to buy as much canned food and ready-made meals as possible. The last thing I wanted was one of those episodes to happen while cooking, leading to a fire. That may have just been an excuse for me to be lazy, but let's set that aside for now. The worst episode ever struck me during a rainy day. It was so bad that I couldn't even crawl. The rest goes without saying. No one can survive without proper sustenance, so it was a matter of days before I starved to death. My memory's rather fuzzy after the first day, so I can't give you an accurate date as to when I died. Passing away all alone in your home is quite the pathetic way to go, isn't it? It may be fitting for me, though, after I caused my own family to abandon me. That's not true. No need for sympathy. I'm sure you've realized how cynical I am by now. I do feel like I've changed somewhat ever since meeting him. Perhaps it's more accurate to say I was able to go back to how I was during the days when I still got along with my family.
It's somewhat hard to believe that there was a time we all got along like that. I wish I could have seen them at least once before I died. My apologies. Looks like I've become the stereotypical talkative old man. Trust me when I say that this all hasn't been an attempt to make it harder for you to eliminate me.
Even though it has. He's spoken his regret loud and clear. A regret so simple that anyone could understand it. If there's one thing I know for sure at this point, it's that I won't be able to elect him without hesitation. I'll be taking my leave now.
It has gotten rather late. Do take care.
Uh-oh. Is Alan gonna bust in while our boy number 4 is out cold? That would be unfortunate. Or are we gonna get caught on our way out? I don't have much to say regarding his cause of death. There's no doubt that my facial expression as he told me was enough to get across how I feel, though. Aha. As I approach the entrance, a knock echoes down the hall. Someone's at the door.
What? People wouldn't normally come by at this hour. Hope it isn't a debt collector.
Why would Alan knock? He stumbles back and falls flat on his rear right after looking through the peephole. Hi, Alan. I'm not sure what he's seen. I feel like I do. But the knocking grows even more fierce.
You're...
It's him or Odette. He hurries back to his feet and reaches for the door once he recalls he's not locked it. Or is it 9? That'd be kind of interesting. I'm shocked his back hasn't given out, but it seems he's faring much better in that regard due to divine selection. Much like how Sonia's illness had subsided. Now it's obvious what's going on. It has to be those two. Oh? I try to get to the door, but Shigetsugu stops me. Not like it would have mattered either way, since the door's already been opened. They probably noticed it was unlocked before Shigetsugu.
How dare you barge in like this?
Oh, I was right. So, yeah. Odette and Federico are taking a break until he has a chance to heal. I had a feeling it'd be Alan. It turns out to be none other than numeral 12, Alan Scorpion. He grabs Shigetsugu by the collar before closing the door behind him. Their sheer differences in height and build cause Shigetsugu to get lifted right into the air by his shirt. Part of me wishes numeral 4 was down here with him. No kidding! There was no opportunity to call for him, though. Not to mention that it'd probably be for nothing if all the noise so far hasn't woken him up. He's got to come down. You? Why are you here? I could ask you the same question. No, I'm pretty sure we know why he's here. And I'm pretty sure it's not to make dinner. Did you bring the chips, though? Well, no matter. He returns his attention to Shigetsugu. Man, we're just here every time he tries to go after someone. Main character mode activate. I'll deal with you first. Let him go. You can't just burst into someone's home and do this to them. I see her meddling with others again. What do you care? I can't lie. Right now I'm terrified. Those frigid eyes alone are enough to instill fear in most people, but add in his build and lack of hesitation to use force like this. I can't run away, though. I won't abandon Shigetsugu. If you ask me why, well, I'm not quite sure. Besides, there's not much you can do if I scream for help. Unless I stop you from doing so. Uh-oh. Wait!
Wait! Listen to what I have to say!
Keep your mouth shut until I give you permission to speak.
I know your regret!
Oh! Oh! Hello! What?
Hear me out!
Although hesitant, he eventually releases Shigetsugu. Interesting. And Shigetsugu lands on his backside again. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to have hurt all that much.
You seem awfully desperate, don't you?
Spare me the attitude. Tell me what you know.
You're aware that numeral 3 and 11 came here before, aren't you?
What of it?
Worry not. I happen to have quite the reliable bodyguards, so they were unable to learn my own regret. All they have are my name and cause of death.
How do you know they have your cause of death? Oh yeah, I think they mentioned that before.
That's what I need then. The only information I have on you is your name.
Oh, no, that's Alan talking. That's what I need then. The only information I have on you is your name, so hurry up and tell me the other two. He takes a threatening step towards Shigetsugu. The height difference between them is staggering. Come on, number 4, show the hell up. How intimidating to have someone of his stature look down on you from so close. Hang on, you may want to reconsider since I've already gotten my hands on all of his information. I'm sure you don't need me to explain the risk involved when 2 people elect the same person. My name is no secret to you, though. The same likely goes for numeral 3 and 11. As much as I appreciate the value of one's name, I take no issue in exposing it for the sake of earning the right to elect him. That's funny. You happen to know my name as well. What makes you think I'd have an issue with exposing it in return? Fair point. Rinky getting sassy, just like my hero. Those eyes. They stir feelings within me that I would rather forget. Don't you be a romantic link too, Criminy. I can't risk having to reveal 2 of my own cards, but having my regret exposed to you here would also put me in a difficult position. Perhaps brute force won't get me through this situation. I can hardly believe that I was able to talk him down. Yeah, I mean, having his regret card. Sharp. Maybe it's thanks to what he pulled at the hospital with Keiko. There's no way the police wouldn't have eyes on him after that. Well, that's also insightful and correct, as we know from a previous video. It makes sense if he's trying to tread carefully. I'll cut to the chase. Numeral 3 and 11 are my main concerns, yet they made no moves after yesterday morning. What happened? I figured that's what you were after. That's what, why do you guys keep saying the other is the main concern, but you keep picking on old men and 10-year-olds? Come on, guys.
As I said, I happen to have a skilled bodyguard.
Yeah, that's currently napping. That only proves to hint that your own regret sleeps within this place. I'm not sure how you managed to figure that out based on what Shigetsugu said, which means I need to really watch what I say from here on out. I might have convinced him for now, but there's no guarantee things will keep going smoothly. Odette and Federico came to the same conclusion, too. They knew that, if 4 was willing to fight to keep them out, then there would be a reason for it. Care to tell me who the so-called bodyguard is? I can't see it being the child you've taken in, to say the least. I doubt you've the money to hire a professional either. Is numeral... Ah, there we go. Is numeral 9 complicit? He's the only one yet to show himself. Yes, he is.
Who knows?
Then again, you were unsure about who I was. That means you likely haven't encountered numeral 9.
Just who in the world are you?
That's irrelevant. I have to admit, I'm surprised a little girl like her could fend those 2 off. Alan is also having the same misunderstanding. Shigetsugu's like, who's this little girl everyone keeps talking about? What the hell? I start to fret over just how much he can glean from the tiniest bit of information. Hey, Alan's a smart guy. Him and Odette are probably the smartest ones here. Still, his statement proves that even he makes mistakes. Hearing him assume the wrong gender just as I did serves a bit of a relief.
Oh, apparently number 3 got beat up good. So good that he won't be moving for some time. Numeral 11 seems to be in cahoots with him, so I doubt she'll go off on her own in the meantime.
Well then, we are just going to have a party, aren't we? I was betting Alan was going to show up. I wondered if Odette would, but I figured she wouldn't based on the comments from before. But no, she's just... I mean, she's moved without Federico in the past, so it wasn't out of the question. So, yeah, here comes our favorite shark lady. Sorry, old man. I don't exactly like to be the predictable type. Well, we're going to have to fit 4 people on screen now. Well, the body... Oh, number 4 needs to wake the hell up. This is a convenient time. Immediately after hearing that voice, I feel my body get sent flying toward the wall. Did she sneak up behind me? Lucky for me, this is the wall where one of Shigetsugu's coats is hanging, so it cushions the impact for me. The culprit, numeral 11. She made her way in and knocked me aside straight away. Well, yeah, time to party. I heard this is where everyone's at. Boy, this image has been getting a workout over this playthrough. We just love to kick things, don't we? Were you here the whole time? I just got here. Her sights are locked on Alan. Oh, are we going to see a big fight between them? Come on, 4, wake up. Surely he holds the upper hand based on physical build alone. Questionable. Doesn't stop her from kicking at him like a bucking bronco in the narrow hallway, though. I should call for help. I should, but I can't bring myself to move. I'm not like Alan. The fear I have toward her in the dream world pales in comparison to how I feel now. This is someone who takes pleasure in harming others. Yep. It's entirely possible that she'll target me if I make even the slightest move or raise my voice. That terrifies me. I don't even have it in me to try to negotiate with her. Is Shigetsugu gonna try to... Hey! Oh yeah, here we go. Get ready. Shigetsugu gonna try to get upstairs and wake up his ninja? Huh, guess those muscles ain't just for show. Alan is no slouch either. I'm not quite sure how to describe his fighting style. He keeps finding opportunities to strike back after dodging and parrying. I can tell how powerful each of her blows are based on the loud smacks heard when Alan blocks each one. Neither is able to score a direct hit on the other, and this long, narrow hallway doesn't allow them to move sideways, so they pressure one another without moving from their initial positions. There's also a sense of protection that they're being afforded because of divine selection, too. The same reason that number 4 couldn't out-and-out kill Federico by aiming for that carotid artery. I'm here to get the scoop on that geezer's regret. As am I. Okay, then let's hug it out and work together. I refuse. Too bad. He must have some real dirt on you then. And he does. Excuse me. Letting your guard down now, even for a split second, could prove fatal. Even I know that much. But Alan seems to have done just that. She wastes no time in delivering a swift kick to his gut, causing him to back away. That might sound weird, but I'm rooting for him this time. I need him to win for my own sake. Neither am I ally, but Alan was at least willing to talk. That makes him a safer bet than this woman. And as much as it pains me, I'm praying that numeral 4 will come down to save us. That's how powerless I am in this situation. Oh dear God, let the 12-year-old save me. Not realizing she hasn't seen him fight yet. He's going to come down here and carve them both up. Alan takes another step back to create more distance between them, which effectively corners him. You ain't the kind of guy to talk things out under normal circumstances. That's the impression I got anyway. From what I can tell, that chick over there probably has all the info she needs to eliminate the geezer. Sound about right? So now you run the risk of electing him at the same time as her, even if you manage to get what you came for. I'd guess that you were in the process of figuring out how to deal with your little pickle. Again, she's a smart one. You seem like the type to reach conclusions through situational evidence. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. That also tells me you haven't been able to gather any information since you and your partner were shooed away by that little girl. Perhaps I overestimated you. Yeah, Odette, did you get beat up by a 12-year-old? Alan takes this opportunity to deliver a counterattack. He lands a solid hook against her shoulder, which causes her to retreat back to her initial position. Actually, that's, maybe this is just Odette being her usual reckless self, but you'd think she'd be a little bit mindful of where 4 is. Man, you sure you don't want to buddy up with me? I'd only put myself at risk of having to compete with you for the right to elect him, so no. As much as I dislike anyone thinking I'm going to go out of my way to help these people, having you retreat is my best option now. She grins from ear to ear. Then I notice the Shigetsu has managed to slink off during all this. Get number 4! Give him a smack. Just as I start to wonder where he stuck off to, footsteps from the stairway give me my answer. Don't go down there! You should hide! Who's he talking to? I feel like this is a bluff. 4 is coming. Hi, 4. No way. I can't hide when you're in danger. The footsteps belong to numeral 4, who comes running down the stairs. Okay, let's see a real fight now. It's going to be just like a 2D fighter because there's such a narrow hallway. He's likely just woken up, but he doesn't seem tired at all. Different people than before. Well, one of them. You know how to fight, yes? Assist me. So she's the baddie and he's the buddy, is that right? Shigetsugu reveals himself just long enough to nod in affirmation. Oh, interesting. So Shigetsugu's gonna side with Alan and say, yeah, beat her up, please. Okay, it's not gonna be a free-for-all. Well, Odette, you are screwed. 2 against 1, huh? Now we're talking. Hey, you know what you're in for. Numeral 11 shows no fear. Just as her words imply, the prospect of this fight has her thrilled. Kick the crap out of her. Never mind. But just before they can start, the blaring of police sirens pierce the walls of the house. They're getting louder, closer. Guess I gotta bounce. Till next time, Alan Scorpion. Or Mr. CEO, if you prefer. Well, she knows who he is. So she was aware. Everybody knows who you are. You're a known. We Googled you up. We got billions of hits. Is there anyone here who doesn't know who he is at this point then? I guess maybe Shigetsugu and number 4 didn't know, but they'll know now. We know. So everyone knows your name, just like they know Maharu's. So she was aware. She bursts out of the house immediately after, uninterested in hearing any replies. The sirens continue for a while afterwards, so I assume she manages to get away. I'm relieved that one problem has resolved itself, but I have to at least admire her ability to react and make snap judgments like she did.
A neighbor must have called the police.
I'm surprised they didn't come in. Did they just see her run off and assume that was the one? I mean, she looks awfully conspicuous in, residential Japan. No, that was me. I texted a friend to call them. Oh, okay. Rinka had her wits about her enough to do at least that.
Really?
You can explain things to them. I couldn't bring myself to speak up, let alone move. Numeral 9? That's a 9, right? I'm not misreading that? Numeral 9 was worrying me the entire time. That's a typo. That was not numeral 9. That was numeral 11. Numeral 11 was worrying me the entire time, but her line of sight was focused on Alan. It gave me enough of a window to message Maharu. I gave her this address and asked her to call the police. And Maharu tomorrow is going to be like, okay, what stupid thing did you do this time? She's going to handcuff herself to us and just be like, you're not going anywhere. It was a gamble, not knowing if she'd actually check her phone, but the cards were in my favor this time. Why are the police here? Shigetsugu hasn't done anything wrong. Don't worry, sometimes they visit people even if they haven't been bad. We should hide so things don't get complicated, though. Agreed. We pile into Shigetsugu's room just as the police park in front of the house. Okay, there we go. So we're just going to have a chit-chat with Alan. This is going to be... Okay, so he is going to join us for... We got some spare curry. Seriously, though, where are those chips? There's something surreal about me, Four, and Alan all hiding in a room together like this. Yeah, there is. The fact that Alan has agreed to it proves that I'm right. He's avoiding the police. I figured he was a monster before, but his fight with numeral 11 makes it all the more clear. His skills have nothing to do with him being a man or his massive build. I'm willing to bet that he could take on an armed officer and win, but even he doesn't want to turn the entire police force against him.
Oh, things sorted themselves out somehow.
Shigetsugu comes along to rescue us from the suffocating silence. I'll be taking my leave then.
Oh, and here I was about to heat up some curry. Don't you want some?
Yay, I've been hungry ever since I got up. Yeah, number 4 has no idea what's going on. This Alan guy's a buddy, right? Hey, we did fit all 4 of us on the screen. Are you serious?
Sure, he was a bit rough with me, but hey, he did help us out in the end. I'm sure you won't mind if he gets a taste of your curry.
Oh, number 4 is like, I'm sorry, what? A bit rough? What's this?
Never you mind. Here, take this. Forget I said anything.
He removes the leftovers from the fridge and pours it all into a pot before Alan even gets a chance to answer. Cumin, cardamom, turmeric. Not bad. I will accept. What? He takes a seat at the table, as expressionless as ever. As much as I want to flee right now, I'm a bit too concerned right now. So, numeral 12 isn't a baddie? Not for now. Not for the moment. You have dirt on me, so I'll behave. Momentarily. Really? But you're a participant too, aren't you? Indeed. So why'd you protect Shigetsugu? I didn't. Our interests just happened to align. Interests? Indeed. I don't know what that means, but I don't care so long as you're not a baddie. What matters is that you're going to love this curry. It's awesome. I see. Oh, and? I start to panic as I listen to the painful exchange. The lack of emotion on Alan's face makes it impossible to tell when he'll explode over numeral 4 acting overly friendly. Yeah, we've got a kind of a straight man thing going on here. Alan is completely emotionless, and number 4 has all the emotions. What would possess the old man to take in such a runt? A runt? I'm referring to you. He found me on the street and decided to take me in because I have amnesia or something. I see. Your body must remember how to carry itself if you were able to fend off numeral 3 in such a condition. I don't think you should have said that. I'm surprised by how readily he divulges such crucial information. Alan may not be his enemy for now, but that's no reason to go and tell him everything. Just use Aaron. Aaron. I was going to say, is that an alias, or is he just saying Aaron because there's no real L in Japanese? L and R are kind of mixed together in the R's. Just use Aaron. I wasn't sure how to address him, but he wasted no time in providing a fake name. He must be aware that I know his true name. Well, Aaron, no. I feel like that's probably the reason he did that. I consider doing the same, but I'll leave it alone unless he asks. No, he knows my name. Do these two? I don't think 4 and 5 know my name. Alan knows my name, though. He got my card. What are you planning to do next, Aaron?
I think we should leave that discussion for after we eat.
Shigetsugu butts in as he brings the curry over. He only carries 2 plates, since neither him nor me will be having any. Alan nods in response to that proposal. When I think about it, Alan's from India. Knowing that someone from the land of curry is about to eat my rendition of it makes me a touch nervous. I was right! I was right. Okay. I feel better about what I said earlier now.
It's so good!
Yeah, Alan's like, C+. My gut sinks the moment he takes a bite. There's a huge contrast between the slow, disinterested way he eats in comparison to how numeral 4 wolfs his down. Wait, why am I nervous at all? I never expected the similarities to go this far. Oh, there's a smile on Alan's face. Someone actually drew a smile for his sprite. I never expected the similarities to go this far. Yeah, Rinka definitely reminds him of somebody. When I notice he's said something, my eyes meet his. My family once bought some curry roe from Japan out of curiosity. Your family? Like your wife? He glares at me in response. Smile gone. Is this how you fish for information? Maybe. I honestly didn't mean anything by it, though. I see. Well, it's public knowledge that I'm not married. When I say family, I refer to a relative. Thanks for the food! The tension is dispersed thanks to that outburst. I'm so glad he has no idea how to read between the lines. I never expected Alan to talk about his family, though. It's pretty normal for most people, but I somehow thought he was one of those rare sorts who had no attachment to them. That aside, I'll assume he didn't think the curry tasted bad since he didn't say anything about it. Is it so odd for me to use a spoon? No, of course not. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Thinking about it, I guess I always do imagine people from India eating curry without utensils. I guess they only do that when eating it with naan. But since he's eating Japanese curry, I didn't think about it until he brings it up. That look on his face as he asks, though. It's so meek I can't help bursting out in laughter. Are you going to laugh at Alan? You dare. I see. Japan has a rather narrow-minded view of my home country. That's not what I'm laughing at. He seems a little peeved, judging by the tone of his voice. Who'd have thought this wholesome scene would include Alan, of all people? Good lord. Next we're going to go out for smoothies with Odette. My nerves, coupled with the fact that he always seems impossible to read, make it all the harder to hold back my laughter. He eventually brushes me off. He hands numeral 4 his plate and spoon to be taken to the sink. Well, this has been an interesting video. Not long after, Shigetsugu makes tea for all 4 of us. Alan, you really should have left a while ago, but alright. Alan takes a whiff of the tea before switching his cup with Shigetsugu's before taking a sip. His face contorts immediately. I can't tell if it's an issue with Shigetsugu's so-called blend or Japanese tea in general, but he's more expressive than I expect. Meanwhile, numeral 4 is rolling his head around on the table out of boredom until Alan breaks the silence. Shigetsugu. I find your name somewhat difficult to pronounce, but regardless, yeah. I literally had to Google the pronunciation for his name and practice it. Shigetsugu. I find your name somewhat difficult to pronounce, but regardless, it goes without saying what I'm here for, doesn't it?
You have your eyes on our information, correct?
Indeed. My intent is to eliminate all of you here, but I'm willing to settle for less at the moment.
Well, calling me surprised. Here I was expecting you to threaten us all into giving you what you wanted.
The child mentioned having amnesia. Should that hold true, I see nothing coming from doing so. Good point. That applies to you, too. I have no evidence, but my gut is telling me that you have no recollection of your own cards either. You must be saying that looking at me. That would be quite a gut read. I'd only be putting myself at a disadvantage by being rash. Amazing how he can say that after we just pulled with Keiko. And he thinks numeral 4 is a girl. It proves that even he makes mistakes. Shigetsugu said that Alan's actions seemed desperate. I feel like that applies even more with what he did to Keiko. However, I'm surprised that not knowing the contents of my own cards could work out for me like this. Again, how does he know that? Maybe it was the reaction to Miharu getting our cause of death card? Maybe? I don't know. As for Alan's comment, number 4 is the first to respond. Hang on a minute. That means you want to eliminate Shigetsugu. Well, I mean, come on, we're in a death game here. I won't let that happen. You're a baddie from here on.
Calm down. Pray tell, what do you plan on doing should I refuse to cooperate?
You likely know the answer. I have no intention of leaving empty-handed. I knew it. Let me at him.
No, I don't want to see you two hurt one another. Besides, you would go after her first, wouldn't you, Aaron?
I don't doubt that. I'm ready to make my escape whenever necessary, but I doubt I could even reach the hall safely should Alan target me for real. I could negotiate with him thanks to the info I have on Shigetsugu, but right now I'd much rather maintain the status quo.
I'm fine with revealing my information to you, but only on one condition.
Which would be?
I want you to serve as our bodyguard until my elimination. Your job would be to keep this house safe, especially from numeral 11.
That's an interesting condition. What date is it today? I wish we could call up the day whenever we wanted, because I feel like it's rather late in the week. I guess if we only get the one thing, depending on how much information. I mean, obviously if we get all Shigetsugu's information, Alan's going to vote him up literally the next chance he gets, which means he'd be bodyguard for all of 2 days.
In simpler terms, I ask that you protect both myself and this child.
Let's assume I agree to these terms. How do you plan on dealing with the other issue? He casts his gaze over to me. Fine. I'll refrain from electing him if you agree to go along with this. Why even bother? Shigetsugu doesn't need anyone but me to protect him. Yeah, you were napping, buddy. You weren't exactly doing a great job earlier. The kid's visibly flustered. But it's Alan who opts to respond. Are you that delusional? What's that supposed to mean? Shigetsugu proposed this to avoid putting you in harm's way. It's for me? I'm not the only one who caught that, huh? You wouldn't happen to have family you're close to, would you? I will not qualify that with a response. Is he right, Shigetsugu?
Of course he is. Strong as you may be, that doesn't make it any less distressing to see you get hurt.
But if I beat him up, then... Don't overestimate yourself. You may be a child, but I would hold nothing back if I fought you. Yeah, Federico underestimated you. Let's be clear about that.
The chances of something happening to you are just too high.
It's clear that Shigetsugu sees him as family. There's a direct parallel to what he's saying now and Keiko's actions when Alan took her son hostage. Alan's face is as expressionless as ever, so I can't tell if he's created this situation on purpose or if it's mere coincidence. Shigetsugu, I figured you'd be happy if I took down all the baddies for you. If you really want to protect me, then why don't you take all their cards? If you really want to protect me, then why don't you take all their cards? Oh, what's this going to lead to?
For the same reason I don't want you fighting others. It's not as simple as you think.
Save this argument for later. I'm willing to accept your first condition, but only if you provide a room for me to stay in. He clarifies his reasoning after seeing Shigetsu's surprise. I haven't the luxury of doing as I please here, so being provided with somewhere to stay for a few days in exchange isn't a bad deal.
Very well. Of course I need you to accept my second condition as well.
I'm aware. Whatever. Numeral 4 stands up mid-conversation, almost in a deliberate attempt to interrupt them. I don't care anymore. Hey! He leaves the room immediately. We've offended his fighting pride. Alan doesn't seem fazed, but the same can't be said about Shigetsugu.
Pardon me, could you give us a moment?
There's no reason to worry about his safety on the streets at night, but it's entirely possible he could start something with the police if they approach him. Leaving Alan here by himself is too risky, though. It's pretty scary to sit here all alone with him, but I stay behind regardless. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting moment, too. Good grief. Yada yada daisy. Okay, Jojo. I have to admit, you struck me as a far less reasonable person. Looks like I might have misjudged you. I see. Perhaps buying time through conversation isn't my best idea, since I'm no good at it. And he makes it a point to say as little as possible. We're just going to hang out in awkward silence? 10 minutes pass and not a single word is exchanged. Alan sits silent. The only action of note is when he blinks. 10 minutes is plenty of time to go get chips, buddy. I thought it'd be okay, but it's starting to get to me. Rinka, I have a question for you. Yes? He's so abrupt that I struggle not to jump out of my skin. What exactly is your goal here? Your actions don't strike me as someone who wants to live through this ordeal. I can't say he's wrong. I never even stopped going to school after Divine Selection began. Yeah, no kidding! How many times has Psy'Min commented on that? Not like he knows that. He's likely basing his claim off the way I've involved myself with other participants. In all honesty, I'm not even sure how I ended up in this situation myself. But what I do know is that it's all been due to my own judgment. As often as I've questioned how much my life is worth, I've never once resigned to the idea that I'm fine with being eliminated. When I put all that together, it's easy to answer his question. I want to live. I want to make it through this. My actions may seem roundabout from your point of view, but this is just me staying true to who I am, I'm sure of it. These may be extraordinary circumstances, but I'm not built to adapt to them. Average is all I know. I'm easily influenced and prone to sticking my nose into what I shouldn't. That's me. That's what defines Shishimai Rinka. I shouldn't bother to ask. The look in your eyes at the hospital told me all I needed. Maybe it's my imagination, but I think I see him throw a faint smile as he says that. Oh, I saw that on the sprite. I saw that. Don't think I didn't. In that case, I'll look forward to seeing how far that mindset can take you. For now, there's little point in pressing you for information that you have no memory of. Who told you that? Yeah, I'm curious how he deduced that. It's logical to assume that you forgot the contents of your own cards along with the rules of divine selection. Perhaps not knowing your cause of death or regret makes it easier for you to act the way you do. He would know that we forgot the rules, because that was obvious during the first round. The fact that he would pick up on and remember that, though. The same goes for that child. Participants like that have little choice but to focus on eliminating others in order to learn about themselves. It really was obvious that I'd forgotten everything about divine selection during my first visit to the Court of Fate. Yep. Especially after my discussion with Maharu, and needing Parker to explain things over to me from scratch. Had he taken the possibility that I've forgotten my own cards into consideration ever since? That would be an interesting reason to not target Rinka, actually. Because we've seen him bounce off on other targets here and there, and he's given logical reasons for doing so when we've had his point of view. But he's never mentioned before that he's clued into the fact that Rinka doesn't actually have the information he needs to eliminate her. If he knows that, then that actually makes a lot more sense too. I like how this game is starting to clear up some of the things I don't like about some of the characters, like how I like Maharu now after we learned her cause of death, and Alan's actions start to make more sense about why he's targeting certain people over others. Did you agree to Shigetsugu's terms in the hopes of finding out more about the kid? I didn't, but now that you mention it, that does make for a decent plan. That one seems the type to reveal important information when one least expects it, perhaps when asleep. Considering the amnesia, dreams can serve as a bridge to the memories buried deep within the psyche. God, this guy is smart. That may be a bit too convenient, but your point still stands. Cutting the conversation off here seems wise. The last thing I want is for him to somehow extract information about Maharu from me. She set it up so everyone thinks we've had a falling out, but at this rate, I might end up spilling the beans on that and more. Setting that aside, I'm surprised he agreed to Shigetsugu's terms so quick. Assuming what he said is true, that it isn't just because he sees value in doing so. There's more to it. He let his emotions take the wheel from what I can tell. He's not above doing that. He let his emotions get to him when Keiko was talking to him during election. But it is interesting that he's essentially got himself into the position that Odette wanted to be in. He gets to live here and basically find out. I mean, from the way Shigetsugu spills the beans, Alan's going to have all the information he needs in a couple of days anyway. I mean, we have almost all the information. Shigetsu straight up handed us number 4's regret card, which was kind of douchey if you think about it. 4 was just sleeping, and Shigetsugu was like, "So let me tell you about this kid's regret." Not like I'd ever say that to his face. They took their time getting back. Did they finally get back, huh? Footsteps from the entrance. Feel free to check if you want. I have no intention of breaking my promise, so I'll remain here. He's right. I hear noises coming from the entrance. Okay, has number 4 cooled his head? I may make my way over to welcome them back. 5 or so minutes after he began his search, Shigetsugu found the person he was looking for on his way back home. So this is where you went. You? Is that the name they've just kind of given him? Or is there someone else? Nope, you. It's hard to run away when you don't have any memories of other places to go. Are we playing as Shigetsugu now? Shigetsugu referred to numeral 4 as you, but that wasn't his real name. It was a name Shigetsugu gave the boy upon their first encounter. Do you hate me now?
Of course not!
Why are you okay with getting eliminated? You know you'll die, right? You know that I'll be all alone, right? Is it because we're not a real family?
Even real families aren't guaranteed to stay together forever, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he would know. He cast a solemn gaze up to the night sky as he spoke. Having lost his wife far too soon, Shigetsugu spent his days battling loneliness. Meanwhile, his son got married soon after graduating college and getting hired into a financing company. Is it just me or is this music extra loud? Shigetsugu got along with his daughter-in-law at first, but things changed when she became pregnant. Perhaps it was more accurate to say that Shigetsugu changed. Knowing a baby was on the way, both made the decision to move out. Shigetsugu's son was gradually moving up the corporate ladder, so it felt like the right time to go. And that was when Shigetsugu's battle with loneliness reached its zenith. The stress it caused him led to outbursts of violence. His attitude took a drastic turn and he became stubborn over the most minor of things. He would complain about his daughter-in-law's cooking for no reason. His actions eventually led to their hastened departure from Shigetsugu's house. The loneliness and self-hatred that followed changed him even more. They did get back in touch years later, but nothing ever came of it. Shigetsugu's issues eventually led him to gambling, which he used as a means to distract himself. This, in turn, led to him racking up more and more debt to the point where it almost affected his son's family. It was then that they cut all ties with him. I have not had a bit of coffee in a spell. But we'll be wrapping up shortly. Years later, he visited their home, only to find no one was living there. They had just up and vanished. Perhaps they thought exactly the same about Shigetsugu, considering how little contact he made with the outside world. Oh, right, you told me about what happened.
That was all on me in the end, but you opted to stay with me, even after hearing my story. You may have had nowhere else to go, but it's clear that you weren't hoping to use me for your own interests.
Interests? I don't know what that means, but sure. I'm staying with you because I like being with you. Oi. I like going to see the horses and boats and all that stuff, too. But the biggest reason is that you gave me somewhere to belong. Just being here helps me keep my mind off my own amnesia. Over a month had passed since Divine Selection began. Both Shigetsugu and you have spent the majority of that time together. To others, their relationship may be fundamentally flawed. To Shigetsugu, however, their relationship was that of a true family.
No matter what the others may think, you are family to me.
Same here. You're my one and only family. There was no preface to his statement. For you, the present took precedence over his lost memories. His words were proof of that.
But it doesn't change the reality that I will die, though. You young'uns may have had your lives cut short by one of fate's pranks, but that isn't true for me. Even if my back hadn't given out that day, I didn't have much time left. That's why the only thing I desired was to spend as much time with you as possible. It's a simple desire, but one that can't compare to that of the younger people giving it their all to survive.
I don't know what you mean, Shigetsugu. This stuff is too complicated for me.
What I'm saying is that it's up to you to decide how you live your life from here on.
Yeah, this old dude is so dead next election. It's up to me. At least 4 guys are going to have all 3 of his cards. I mean, number 4 probably has all 3 of his cards. Not that he's going to use them. We have all 3 of his cards. Alan will figure out all 3 of his cards. Odette and Federico have 2 of his cards. They could probably figure out the 3rd.
Indeed. If you have even the slightest desire to live, then do everything you can to make it through Divine Selection.
The only people that aren't going to have this guy's cards are Maharu and number 9.
If you lack that desire, then I won't stop you.
You can't make me choose like that.
I'm afraid you have no choice. My elimination is a matter of days away. I don't wanna lose you.
Yu was growing more upset as the conversation carried on. Shigetsu, on the other hand, remained as calm as ever.
Naming you may have been a mistake when I think about it. I'm not sure if your amnesia has any effects on the outcome, but I never expected a card to form from my doing so.
I wondered about that. Because we remember talking about perception. So literally at least 2 people have number 4's card, and both of those cards, both of those name cards, say different things. Because Odette's card presumably... Actually, no, Odette's card would still be blank, because Shigetsugu called him Yu way before that conversation with Odette. So Shigetsugu has a number 4 name Yu card, and Odette has a number 4 name Nothing card. Interesting. I wonder what would happen if they were to both try to vote him up. Someone's going to say, his name is Nothing. Sure. His name is Yu! Sure. Okay, it's gotta be one of them.
Not knowing the contents of your own cards was your greatest asset, and yet my actions ruined it.
No, they didn't. They made me happy. You gave me a name when I couldn't remember my own. Watch, his name is ending up going to be like Bob or something.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. In that case, I only have one wish for you. I won't tell you to press on and live if that's not what you want. However, I do want you to understand the joy of providing something for another.
Much like how he had given you his name. Not only a name, but also a place to call home. Again, I keep harping on how the rules are going to come into play later on down the road. I feel like we're just adding to that by adding these little things about different names and perception and stuff. Like, what's that going to lead to? There's a lot of interesting dynamics that could come from all this, and I really hope the game follows through with that.
I'll be able to pass on something on that I received from you, too.
Have I given you something? I don't remember doing that.
You have.
I don't get it. I'm trying to understand, but I just can't.
Work toward understanding it then. Once you do, you'll be able to share in my joy.
Shigetsugu rests a hand on Yu's head before patting it. Ah, yes, Yu loves his head pats. His words and actions were cheerful, despite the context of their conversation. Meanwhile, Yu was unable to find his answer. He had not accepted his reality. At the same time, that state of mind was what made him all the more susceptible to what Shigetsugu had to say. So eventually, he came to understand what was about to transpire. Yep, Ushizuka Shigetsugu was going to die, and there was absolutely nothing he could do about it. It's Thursday, okay. Now I know. I happen to overhear their conversation. I don't intend to, but that's no excuse. I didn't catch the entire thing, but one important detail doesn't slip by me. The name card? Yu. The moment Shigetsugu called number 4 that name, my book began to glow. Okay, so we have all 3 cards on both of them. Well then, the resulting card contains nothing but those 2 letters. Which is weird, because Odette still has a blank card. I skipped that. A good thing Alan wasn't around. That was the comment there. Things would only get more complicated if any of them learned that I now know his name. Yu. I repeat the name to myself. I figured that Shigetsugu had given him a name, but I never expected that name to be the one on his card. This would have been far more difficult to believe if I hadn't had that conversation with Maharu about one's perception of one's name. What did Shigetsugu have in mind when giving him that name, though? Surely there's some meaning behind it. Yeah, music, if you could just tone it down for a second. Surely there's some meaning behind it. I don't know the meaning of the name Yu in Japanese. I know the main character of Persona 4 has that name. Doesn't matter. I've somehow ended up with all 3 of Yu's cards, but I don't have it in me to elect either of them now. If Alan elects Shigetsugu, logic dictates that I elect Yu. I try my best to convince myself that's what I need to do, but it's not that easy. Are they both going to die? We've been waiting for a double elimination or a non-elimination, something a little bit different from the usual 3 cards and you're gone. We make our way back to the living room after I meet them at the entrance. Another conversation starts up once we're all gathered, but it dies off pretty fast.
Apologies for the wait.
I've said my piece already, so it's fine. Give me a room and I'm satisfied.
No need to worry. I'll do just that.
Number 4 is just still kind of okay. Yu still isn't happy about the scenario, but regardless, the conversation is over. Knowing that, I decide to make my way back home, albeit far later than planned. Numeral 11 might have her eye on Yu as well. Yeah. Although she'll probably target me first. Settling the score tends to take priority for people like her. I'm not the only participant here she'd want to do so with, of course, but there's no need to be concerned. I plan to keep my end of the bargain. Yeah, for all the 2 days left. I am so stunned by his apparent concern for me that I struggle to find a way to respond. What is with this guy? First he threatens to kill a baby without hesitation, then he agrees to Shigetsugu's terms that don't entirely benefit him. To top it all off, now he's worrying about my safety.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Goodbye and thanks for dinner. I don't think I'll ever forget how delicious it was. Thanks. There's still some left, so go ahead and heat it up when you're hungry.
Allow me to see you off.
We then make our way out of the living room. You didn't need to leave the house with me. Now I feel bad. He's going to tell us that he knows that he overheard he knows that we overheard our conversation. We have Yu's card, doesn't he? Shigetsugu's been on top of this stuff. Yeah, Shigetsugu follows me outside rather than see me off at the entrance. We're gonna have a little conversation, aren't we? It's uncommon for us to be alone together, so I take this chance to clear my doubts. Can I ask what the plans are for you if you get eliminated? Well, we're just gonna come straight out and say his name, aren't we?
That's quite the naughty habit you have there.
Sorry, I did that on purpose. You gave him that name, didn't you?
I did. He may be a kind child, but he's also a courageous one. The pronunciation of you sounds both Japanese and foreign, doesn't it?
It's also a word in English, which makes sentences confusing.
I must admit, I never expected a card to result from it.
This is speculation on my part, but it seems like each participant's own personal perception holds a sizable influence over their cards.
I see. Allow me to answer your question, though.
I nod my head, urging him to continue.
I have about 1 million yen stowed away for him to use as he sees fit.
My first reaction is to look around after recovering from my own shock. I'm worried about any lurking burglars overhearing him, but I guess anyone sneaking into that house is in far more danger than those already inside.
That should be plenty to get him through the remaining 2 months of divine selection. It's not my place to dictate what he does afterwards, but if his memories return, then he should have enough to return home. Assuming he doesn't spend it all first, of course.
How did you make that much money? Pachinko!
There are plenty of ways to do so. I gathered up as much money as I could find in the house and sold off anything of value for one.
He mentioned before that his pension and benefits were his only source of income right now. He talked about being in debt as well, so I could only assume he went through some shady dealings to gather up that amount. Knowing he did it all for you's sake makes it hard to judge him for it, though.
It was pretty difficult, I tell you, especially when they froze my bank account and I'd already used up my savings. You saw how messy the house is, though. I've turned the place upside down looking for things to sell, but couldn't find me in it to clean it back up afterwards.
That explains that. I slapped both my hands over my mouth the moment I realized what I'm about to say. It might be the truth, but it's still rude to say such things out loud. It explains this, what, the pictures? It explains the mess?
Oh, don't worry about it. Regardless, there's no need for you to be concerned about him.
He lets out a heartfelt laugh. I can't find the humor in it, though, so I just nod.
Well then, I guess I'll see you again in the dream world.
Yeah, thanks for everything.
Come now, I should be the one thanking you.
He shuffles back into his house. That's how it should be. Things are looking good for me right now. Even so, I make my way home with a knot in my heart. Are we going to election? If we are, we're cutting it off. What's the date? Thursday. Family, huh? When I get back to my room, my mind drums up images of Shigetsu and you. Shigetsu and you. Sounds like a sitcom. Shigetsu talked about the joy of providing something to another. Was I able to do that for Keiko? Was I able to do that for Sonia, even? Shigetsugu's elimination during the next election is all but guaranteed. Yeah, no kidding. I think I called that a while ago. Was I able to provide something for him, knowing that would happen? I heard him out and made dinner for you. Not him, you. There's no need to involve myself with any of the participants further than this, and yet I find myself worried about waking up on Monday, plagued with regret. Screw this. I figure I'm best off acting instead of worrying, so I make my way to my computer. Uh-oh, what's going to happen? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to your computer? Is it Friday? Thus another day of school rolls by. Well, thus another video rolls by. I think this is a good stopping point. I was kind of wondering if we would get to the election, but I guess that will almost certainly be next video. We've seen all we need to see from 4 and 5. We're virtually guaranteed to start getting into 9's stuff immediately following that. But Alan, Odette, Federico, Miharu, we're kind of down to our core group here. Shigetsu's going to get voted off. I don't think we're going to vote off you. Although I do think we're the only one that can right now, unless you lets all his stuff slip. Again, Shigetsu basically just gave us used cards. I don't know if he realized that we had used cause of death, but Shigetsu was more than happy to give us both his name and his regret. Again, kind of douchey. But we'll see if maybe you becomes an ally to us after Shigetsu bites the bullet. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, 9 may do something surprising. He may come in like a wrecking ball and just suddenly vote someone out too, and we can just be like, what? We're still waiting around on 9. Maybe 9 will just get voted out. Federico will just be like, yeah, I found out this guy's info, get rid of him, and we'll see him once before he disappears. Yeah, like I was saying, I expect, well, things have to start heating up now because we really are getting down to the core group. Shigetsugu's going to be gone. We really need to figure out that you is the one that killed us. That's got to be something that comes to light at some point. But yeah, looking forward to what happens. I won't keep rambling. I mean, it's the same speculations I keep making at the end of every video. You basically know what I'm about to say at this point. So let's just see what happens next time. Really enjoying this. That was a fun day with some unexpected stuff. I figured Alan was going to stop by. I didn't think he was going to move in. But we will pick this up next time. Take care. Look forward to the next video. Have a great week.